look at friends, neighbors, maybe even family members, and notice that once people hit their late 70s, things start to change dramatically. Some are still active, vibrant, living full lives well into their 80s and beyond. But honestly, far too many seem to decline. Their health falters, their spark dims, and they simply don't make it much past that milestone birthday. It's a reality that touches us all, isn't it? This invisible wall seems to appear around age 80 for so many. And you might wonder, is it just inevitable? Is it just old age? We often hear about diet and exercise, and yes, they are important. But there are deeper, perhaps more surprising, factors at play that are quietly influencing whether we not only reach 80, but truly live and thrive past it. These aren't the usual suspects you might expect. They're often overlooked habits or underlying issues that compound over time. In this video, we're going to uncover 5 surprising reasons why many people don't live well past 80, and more importantly, what you can start doing today to change that trajectory. These insights could make a world of difference. Make sure you watch all the way to the end because one of these might just surprise you the most and hold a key you haven't considered. Let's dive right into the first surprising factor, something that might not immediately come to mind when you think about longevity, but it has a profound impact: chronic low-grade inflammation. Now, we've all heard about inflammation. Usually when we twist an ankle or get a sore throat, that's acute inflammation, the body's necessary response to injury or infection. And it's a good thing. But there's another kind, a silent, persistent, low-level inflammation that simmers beneath the surface, often for years, without obvious symptoms you can point to. Think of it not as a raging fire, but as embers glowing constantly. This chronic inflammation isn't fighting an immediate threat. It's often triggered by things like poor diet, lack of sleep, stress, and even inactivity. And this constant low-grade simmer is incredibly damaging over time. It's like having a tiny, persistent irritant in all your body's systems. It can damage your arteries, contributing to heart disease. It can harm brain cells, potentially speeding up cognitive decline and increasing the risk of conditions like Alzheimer's. It can contribute to insulin resistance, setting the stage for type 2 diabetes. It wears down your joints, making arthritis worse, and it's linked to various cancers. Essentially, this chronic inflammation accelerates the aging process at a cellular level throughout your entire body. It quietly erodes the resilience of your organs and tissues. By the time someone reaches their late 70s or 80s, the cumulative damage from decades of this silent inflammation can simply become too much for the body to cope with effectively. Their systems are worn down, making them more susceptible to diseases and less able to recover when something does go wrong. It's not just about getting sick. It's about the underlying state of your body's repair mechanisms. If they're constantly battling inflammation, they can't keep up with the normal wear and tear of aging, let alone fight off significant health challenges. So, what can you do about this stealthy enemy? The good news is you have a lot of power here, and it's often about making sensible, enjoyable lifestyle choices. Diet is a massive player in managing inflammation. Think about shifting towards an anti-inflammatory way of eating. This isn't a strict diet. It's about emphasizing certain foods and reducing others. Load up on colorful fruits and vegetables, berries, leafy greens, broccoli, peppers. They are packed with antioxidants and compounds that quench inflammation. Healthy fats are crucial. Think olive oil, avocados, fatty fish like salmon and mackerel. Those omega-3s are powerful anti-inflammatory agents. And nuts and seeds. Spices like turmeric, especially with black pepper to help absorption, ginger, and garlic are also fantastic inflammation fighters. On the flip side, try to reduce foods that fuel inflammation: excessive sugar, refined carbohydrates like white bread and pastries, processed meats, and unhealthy trans and saturated fats often found in fried foods and packaged snacks. It's not about being perfect. It's about making better choices most of the time, even small. Consistent changes make a difference. Try adding a handful of berries to your breakfast, using olive oil for cooking instead of butter, or swapping a sugary snack for a piece of fruit and some nuts. But diet isn't the only factor. Stress management is also key. Chronic stress floods your body with cortisol and other hormones that promote inflammation. Finding ways to manage stress, whether it's through mindfulness, meditation, gentle yoga, spending time in nature, pursuing a hobby, or simply talking to a friend, can lower those inflammatory markers. Regular, moderate physical activity is another powerful tool. You might think exercise causes inflammation like after a tough workout, but consistent, gentle movement actually helps reduce chronic inflammation throughout the body. It gets your circulation going and helps regulate your immune system. Think brisk walking, swimming, cycling, or dancing. It doesn't have to be strenuous, just get your body moving regularly. And don't forget sleep. Poor sleep disrupts your body's rhythms and can ramp up inflammation. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night. Establishing a relaxing bedtime routine can help. Consider this if you start making these kinds of changes now. You're not just avoiding future problems. You're actively giving your body a better chance to repair and maintain itself. You're building resilience. Imagine your body's systems not constantly fighting that low-grade fire, but instead using that energy to keep everything running smoothly, efficiently, and robustly. This isn't a guarantee of living past 80, of course, but it removes a major roadblock for many people and significantly increases your chances of living those later years with more vitality and fewer chronic health issues. It's a fundamental step in building a body that can truly go the distance, past that 80-year mark and beyond. With strength and health, it's about creating an internal environment where your body thrives, not just survives. Now, moving on from the internal battle against inflammation, let's look at something just as crucial, but often dismissed or accepted as an inevitable part of getting older: the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength. This isn't just about looking or feeling weaker. It's fundamentally about your body's engine and its ability to function. We often hear the medical term sarcopenia, which just means age-related muscle loss. Starting in our 40s, we can begin to lose muscle mass, and this accelerates as we get older, especially if we're not actively working to preserve it. By the time someone reaches their 70s, significant muscle loss can have occurred if it hasn't been addressed. Why is this such a critical factor for living well into your 80s and beyond? Muscle is far more than just what helps you lift things or look toned. Your muscles are your body's power generators. They enable you to walk steadily, climb stairs easily, get up from a chair without struggling, maintain balance, and recover quickly from illness or injury. When you lose significant muscle mass, all of these fundamental abilities are compromised. Think about the ripple effect. Loss of leg strength makes walking less stable, increasing the risk of falls. A fall in later years can be devastating, often leading to fractures, hospitalization, and a difficult, sometimes incomplete, recovery, even if it's not a major injury. The fear of falling can lead people to become less active, which further accelerates muscle loss, creating a vicious cycle. Reduced muscle mass also means you burn fewer calories at rest, making weight management more challenging, which can contribute to other health issues. Muscles also play a role in regulating blood sugar and overall metabolic health. Furthermore, your muscles act as a protein reservoir that your body can draw upon when you're sick or stressed. If you have limited muscle mass to begin with, your body has less reserve to help you recover from a bout of flu, surgery, or any other health challenge that requires energy and repair. People with greater muscle mass tend to recover faster and more fully from illness or injury. For someone whose body is already frail due to significant muscle loss, bouncing back from a health setback becomes incredibly difficult. And sometimes, sadly, they don't. Reaching 80 is one thing, but having the physical capacity to navigate the potential health challenges that can arise in your 80s requires having that foundation of strength. Without it, the body is simply less robust, less able to withstand the bumps in the road. The surprising part for many is how much of this muscle loss is not strictly inevitable aging, but rather a consequence of inactivity and inadequate protein intake over many years. Our bodies are remarkably adaptable. If you don't use your muscles, you lose them. If you don't provide the building blocks protein, they can't be maintained or rebuilt. Many people fall into a pattern of reduced activity as they age, often due to fear of injury, pain, or simply habit, and they also may not be consuming enough protein or distributing it effectively throughout the day. This cumulative neglect leads to a body that is simply less equipped for the physical demands of living independently and healthily into advanced age. The really positive news here is that it's never too late to start rebuilding and preserving muscle mass. You don't need to become a bodybuilder. Consistent, targeted resistance training is key. This means activities that challenge your muscles against resistance. This could be lifting weights, even light dumbbells, or resistance bands at home, using weight machines at a gym, doing bodyweight exercises like squats, using a chair for support if needed, lunges, push-ups against a wall, or stepping up onto a sturdy low step. Even gardening or carrying groceries can provide some resistance, but structured exercises that progressively challenge your muscles are most effective. Start slowly. Focus on proper form, and gradually increase the resistance or repetitions as you get stronger. Aim for muscle strengthening activities at least 2 days a week, working all the major muscle groups. It's also important to include exercises that work on balance, like standing on one foot, holding onto something for stability, or heel-to-toe walking, as balance is directly related to leg strength and reduces fall risk. Alongside exercise, adequate protein intake is absolutely essential. Many older adults don't eat enough protein, or they eat most of it at dinner. Protein is the building block for muscle. You need to consume enough protein throughout the day to signal your muscles to repair and grow, especially after exercise. Good sources include lean meats, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy milk, yogurt, cheese, legumes, beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds. Aim to include a source of protein at every meal. For example, eggs or yogurt for breakfast, chicken or beans in a salad for lunch, and fish or tofu with vegetables for dinner. Snacking on nuts or yogurt can also help boost your protein intake. Combining resistance exercise with sufficient protein is a powerful strategy to combat sarcopenia and build a more resilient body capable of thriving well into your 80s and beyond. It's about regaining and maintaining your physical independence and giving your body the strength it needs to face whatever comes its way. Building on the foundation of physical strength, let's turn our attention to something less visible but equally vital for longevity and well-being: maintaining a strong sense of purpose and staying socially connected. While not a physical factor in the same way as inflammation or muscle mass, the absence of purpose and connection acts like a slow drain on your overall vitality and resilience, making you more vulnerable as the years go by. Many people, particularly after retirement or if their living situation changes, can find themselves feeling adrift. The structure and social interaction that work, raising a family, or being deeply involved in community activities once provided might diminish. If this isn't replaced by other meaningful pursuits and connections, a void can form. This isn't just about feeling a bit bored now and then. A persistent lack of purpose and significant social isolation have been linked by research to increased risk of chronic diseases, cognitive decline, depression, and even premature death. It sounds stark, but it's true. Humans are inherently social beings, and having a reason to get up in the morning, something that engages your mind and energy, and people to share experiences with, are fundamental needs that don't disappear with age. Think about someone who retires and suddenly has no schedule, no work colleagues, and perhaps adult children who are busy with their own lives. If they don't cultivate new interests or maintain existing friendships, they might spend a lot more time alone. feeling less needed or relevant. This feeling of being disconnected or lacking purpose can lead to a subtle but damaging kind of stress. It can affect sleep patterns, reduce motivation to eat healthily or exercise, and even dampen the immune system. Loneliness isn't just an emotional state, it has tangible physiological effects. It can increase inflammation, bringing us back to that first point, raise blood pressure, and contribute to hormonal imbalances. Conversely, having strong social ties and a sense of purpose acts as a buffer against stress and provides a sense of belonging and validation. When you feel needed, valued, and connected, you're more likely to take care of yourself, both physically and mentally. You have people to support you through tough times and to share the joys of life with. You have reasons to stay active and engaged with the world. For many who struggle to live vibrant lives past 80, a quiet form of disengagement may have set in years earlier. They may have gradually withdrawn from social activities, stopped pursuing hobbies, or lost sight of what gives their life meaning beyond daily routine. This isn't a conscious decision to give up, but rather a slow drift that can become hard to reverse. They might feel like their most productive years are behind them, or that they don't have much to contribute anymore. But this is a dangerous misconception. The later years can be incredibly rich and meaningful, precisely because you often have more time and freedom to pursue what truly matters to you. The key is actively seeking out or creating opportunities for purpose and connection. What does this look like in practice? Finding purpose doesn't have to be grand. It could be volunteering for a cause you care about, mentoring someone younger, joining a club or group based on a hobby like gardening, reading, painting, or walking, learning a new skill, taking a class, or even just dedicating time to a passionate hobby you enjoy. It's anything that makes you feel engaged, challenged in a good way, and that your time is being spent on something valuable to you. As for social connection, this requires effort too. It might mean being intentional about scheduling regular time with friends and family, joining community groups, attending local events, participating in activities at a senior center, or even connecting with others online through shared interests. It's about nurturing existing relationships and being open to forming new ones. Don't wait for people to come to you. Reach out. Offer help to a neighbor. Call a friend just to chat. Invite someone for tea. These seemingly small interactions build the fabric of connection that sustains us. Think about the people you know who are thriving in their 80s and 90s. Chances are, they are still actively engaged with the world and connected to others. They have reasons to keep going, things they look forward to, and people they care about, and who care about them. Cultivating purpose and connection is powerful medicine for the mind, body, and spirit. And it's a vital component of building a life that extends with vitality beyond that 80-year marker. Next up, let's explore another often overlooked factor that impacts longevity and quality of life. In later years, the tendency to dismiss new or persistent symptoms as just part of getting old. We all experience aches, pains, and changes as we age. And it's true that some things are indeed normal parts of the aging process. However, there's a fine line between accepting typical age-related changes and ignoring potential warning signs that could indicate a treatable health issue. Many people in their 60s and 70s might notice a new fatigue that doesn't go away, a persistent cough, changes in digestion, unusual pain, or subtle cognitive shifts, and their first thought is, well, I'm not as young as I used to be, and they simply live with it or hope it goes away. While this mindset comes from a place of understanding that the body changes, it can be detrimental because it delays seeking medical attention for conditions that, if caught early, could be managed, treated, or even cured. Think about something like persistent heartburn or indigestion. Someone might just start taking antacids regularly, thinking it's just their stomach getting sensitive with age, but it could be a sign of something more serious, like a peptic ulcer, or even an early indicator of certain cancers, which would be much easier to treat if diagnosed promptly. Or consider increasing shortness of breath or fatigue when doing activities that used to be easy. It's easy to say, "I'm just out of shape," or "I'm getting old." But it could be an early symptom of heart disease or a lung condition that needs medical intervention. Even seemingly minor things, like changes in bowel habits or unexplained weight loss, are often dismissed, but they warrant investigation. The human body is remarkably resilient, but it also gives us signals when something isn't right. The problem arises when we stop listening to those signals because we've attributed every new ache or pain to the aging process itself. This delay in seeking diagnosis and treatment means that by the time a person does see a doctor, the condition may have progressed, become more complex, harder to treat effectively, and caused more damage to the body. By the time someone reaches their late 70s or 80s, their overall health reserves might be lower, making it harder to bounce back from a condition that has been allowed to worsen over months or even years. Part of this tendency to ignore symptoms might also stem from a reluctance to go to the doctor, perhaps fearing bad news, or simply feeling like they don't want to be a bother. There might also be a feeling that doctors just dismiss older patients' concerns, or that there's nothing that can really be done anyway because of their age. While it's important to find a doctor you trust who listens, it's crucial not to let these fears prevent you from getting potentially life-saving or life-enhancing care. Regular checkups and open communication with your doctor are fundamental pillars of maintaining health as you age. They allow for early detection of potential problems and monitoring of existing conditions. But it's equally important for you to be proactive about reporting changes you notice in your body. No matter how small they seem, you are the expert on your own body, and you know what feels normal and what doesn't. What's the takeaway here? Don't automatically dismiss new or persistent symptoms as just old age. Pay attention to your body. If something feels off, lasts longer than a week or two, is getting worse, or is significantly different from your usual experience, get it checked out by a doctor. Be specific when you describe your symptoms. Keep a note of when they started, what makes them better or worse, and how they are affecting you. Empower yourself by being informed about common health issues that can arise with age, but without becoming overly anxious. The goal isn't to panic about every little thing, but to have a healthy respect for your body's signals and to be willing to investigate when those signals are significant. Early detection and intervention can make a monumental difference in managing conditions, preventing complications, and maintaining your health and independence for years to come. It's about being an active participant in your own health journey, not a passive observer. This proactive approach to recognizing and addressing health concerns is often a distinguishing factor for those who live long, healthy, and vibrant lives well into their 9th and 10th decades. It gives them the best chance of tackling health issues when they are most treatable, preserving their vitality and resilience. Finally, let's explore a surprising factor that impacts not just how long you live, but how well you live those later years: the resistance to learning new things and a lack of continuous mental engagement. We often focus on physical health for longevity, but brain health is intrinsically linked, and staying mentally active is just as crucial as staying physically active. As we age, the brain, like any other organ, benefits from being challenged and stimulated. When we stop actively engaging our minds, seeking out new information, and learning new skills, the brain can become less resilient, its pathways less robust. This isn't just about preventing memory loss, though that's a significant benefit. It's about maintaining cognitive function across the board: problem solving, critical thinking, adaptability, and maintaining mental sharpness. If someone mentally disengages in their 60s or 70s, perhaps falling into a routine that requires little mental effort, by the time they reach their 80s, their cognitive abilities may have declined more rapidly than necessary. This can impact their ability to manage their own health decisions, stay independent, engage in conversations, and adapt to changes in their environment or health status. A decline in cognitive function can make navigating life's challenges in the later years significantly harder and increases vulnerability to health issues and loss of independence. Consider someone who retires and spends most of their day watching television or doing only routine tasks that require minimal thought. Compare them to someone who takes up learning a new language, learns to play a musical instrument, joins a book club, starts a complex craft like quilting or woodworking, takes online courses, or actively engages in strategic games like bridge or chess. The second person is actively building and maintaining cognitive reserves. Learning new things actually creates new neural pathways in the brain and strengthens existing ones. It's like cross-training for your brain. This cognitive reserve can act as a buffer, making the brain more resilient to age-related changes or even the effects of conditions like dementia. If someone encounters age-related cognitive changes, having built a strong cognitive reserve means they may be able to function at a higher level for longer because their brain has more alternative pathways and connections to rely on. Conversely, a brain that hasn't been challenged may show the effects of aging or disease more quickly and severely. The surprising element here is how often people underestimate the power of continuous learning and mental challenge, or believe that you can't teach an old dog new tricks. This simply isn't true. The brain retains its ability to learn and adapt throughout life. It just needs the opportunity and the effort. Many people fall into a pattern of mental inactivity out of habit, lack of awareness of the benefits, or a fear of trying something new and perhaps not being good at it. But the process of learning and engaging the mind is what matters, not achieving mastery overnight. It's about the effort and the consistent practice. So, how do you integrate this into your life? Make learning a lifelong habit, something you do for pleasure and health. This could be structured, like taking a course at a local college or community center, or unstructured, like reading books on new topics, following complex news stories, listening to educational podcasts, or watching documentaries. Engage in activities that require problem-solving and critical thinking, puzzles, crosswords, Sudoku, strategy games, learning coding basics, or even figuring out how to use new technology. Pick up a new hobby that requires focus and learning, whether it's painting, photography, writing, or restoring furniture. Join groups or discussions where you can engage in stimulating conversations and debate ideas. Even changing up your routine sometimes, like taking a different route for your walk or trying a new recipe, can provide a little mental nudge. It's about actively seeking out novel experiences and challenges that keep your brain engaged and adaptable. Combine this mental stimulation with the physical activity, social connection, managing inflammation through diet and lifestyle, and being proactive about health symptoms that we've discussed. You start to see how all these pieces fit together. They don't just impact one isolated part of your health, they create a synergistic effect, building resilience in your body and mind that significantly increases your potential to not only reach 80, but to live well beyond it with vitality, independence, and joy. You see, reaching your 80s and thriving through them isn't just about luck or genetics, though those play a part. It's significantly influenced by the choices we make, the habits we cultivate, and the attention we pay to our well-being long before we hit that milestone age. We talked about the silent damage of chronic inflammation and how simple dietary and lifestyle changes can make a world of difference in calming that internal fire. We discussed the critical importance of muscle mass and strength, not just for physical tasks, but for resilience and recovery, and how resistance training and adequate protein can rebuild that vital foundation. We explored the profound impact of having a sense of purpose and staying socially connected, recognizing that loneliness and disengagement are not just emotional states, but serious health risks, and how actively seeking connection and meaning can fuel your vitality. And we touched on the crucial habit of paying attention to your body's signals and not dismissing new symptoms. Understanding that proactive medical care is essential for catching and managing issues when they are most treatable. Preserving your health down the line. Finally, we looked at the power of keeping your mind engaged, learning new things, and challenging your brain to build that cognitive reserve that helps maintain mental sharpness and adaptability in later life. These 5 factors, managing inflammation, maintaining muscle mass, cultivating purpose and connection, being proactive about health symptoms, and staying mentally engaged, are perhaps more surprising than the usual advice. Yet they are incredibly powerful determinants of whether someone just reaches 80 or truly flourishes in their 80s, 90s, and even beyond. The beautiful thing is that it is never too late to start addressing these areas. Even small, consistent changes can begin to shift the trajectory of your health and well-being. It's about progress, not perfection. Maybe you start by adding more colorful vegetables to your meals, or trying a gentle strength training exercise with a resistance band a couple of times a week, or committing to calling a friend every other day, or joining that local walking group you've been thinking about, or trying one new puzzle a week, or making that doctor's appointment you've been putting off. Every single step forward is a step towards a more vibrant, healthier future. Don't let the idea of old age become a limiting belief. Your later years can be a time of continued growth, contribution, and happiness. By focusing on these often overlooked aspects of health and well-being, you are actively investing in your future self, giving yourself the very best chance to live a full, active, and joyful life well past 80. You have the power to influence your longevity and, more importantly, the quality of those extra years. It's about adding life to your years, not just years to your life. What are your thoughts on these reasons? Have you experienced any of these yourself or seen them impact someone you know? Share your insights and experiences in the comments below. Your perspective could be incredibly helpful to others in our community. If you found this video valuable, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss future videos dedicated to helping you live your healthiest, happiest life at every age. Thank you for watching. Keep taking care of yourself, keep engaging with the world, and live your best life, no matter your age.